All right, we are recording now. Well, welcome to the Monroe Community Coalition meeting for May. Again, for the record, it looks like folks are choosing to have fun in the sun. Today's meeting really is intended to be brief. I'm wondering if we can go ahead and start with welcome and introductions. Why don't you start?
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. Hi, I'm Sharon Lineweber. I'm a school counselor at Park Place Middle School. It didn't turn. It did not.
What's that?
The camera.
Nope, it doesn't turn, it just shows.
Oh, okay. You want me to go now?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, Chris Gray. I'm with Housing Hope, and I am the new repeat president of the East County Regional Board.
Woo! Chuck, you're on our screen. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, Chuck Whitfield, School Board Director. I thought my haircut was at 11. It's actually at 2, so I'm looking kind of scrappy. Always wanted to, I got to jet out of here before 2. Anyway, just always look forward to the meeting and to hear what the important work that's happening in the Community Coalition.
Sure. Thank you. Mr. Bloss, would you introduce yourself?
Jim Bloss. I am here representing National Alliance on Mental Illness, Snohomish County, and all is well with me.
Thank you. Mr. Jury.
Hi, everyone. Chris Jury. I'm the Prevention Manager for the Northwest Education Service District.
Aubrey, good to see you.
Hi, I'm Aubrey Rudd. I'm with Just Serve and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I love being here and connecting with the community.
It's nice to see you. Chief Jolly.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Jolly. I'm the Chief of Police here in Monroe and representing the police in the city. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Lisa.
Lisa Woodard. I'm one of the counselors up at Monroe High School.
Thank you. So, okay, well, welcome everybody again. It might be a brief agenda today. Looking forward when we regularly meet in person. However, we've got the new technology now to make sure everybody can be heard and seen in the room, and that we're oriented toward those who are joining us remotely. So let us know your thoughts after. I might send out a brief survey just to see how this worked today, and if there are any challenges we got to troubleshoot. You never know with new tech. Just wanted to give a couple of brief business updates so you're aware of where the coalition is and what we're doing. So we're heading into the last 6 weeks of a couple of different contracts that fund the coalition. And so for me, every year since 2006, May, June, and July are my most stressful months as we try to wrap up all of the loose ends and make sure that we're in full compliance before the next contract starts. Normally, what would have been happening for the last 2 months is we would be looking at our healthy use survey data and other data sources to examine where the community has vulnerabilities, and then planning on how to target our resources in order to reduce those vulnerabilities or build buffers of protection around them. And the approach that we've taken with data and targeting those vulnerabilities have produced incredible outcomes. And those outcomes extend before the pandemic. You know, I share them all the time. This year, there's no new healthy use survey data. And last year's healthy survey data really is a snapshot on where kids were coming back to in-person learning. And it's pretty clear to most of us in the community around the state that the data is not really good for planning purposes heading into next school year. So what I'll be doing is coming back to you guys next month with essentially a continuation plan that we'll vote on, which will support current programs. Now, on top of that, the district itself, because of declining enrollment, has some budget challenges, just like every other school district around Washington State, ours less than many. However, I've been asked to start looking for grant funding for several programs that the coalition initially started and that were fully adopted by the district. And so we're gonna have a meeting back here because there's some questions I need to ask about what's our plan if the district or the coalition can't fund some of these programs. What's the plan to meet the Washington State Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction's social emotional learning standards? And so there are a couple other questions that I need answered in order to position work that we do in partnership with the district to take care of some of these programs. And I'll just keep you in the loop as we go. So this month is too premature to put out a plan. It will be due by June 15th. And so our next meeting is June 8th. I'll come with basically a continuation proposal for our programs, and then anything new we'll discuss. And then we'll move forward into July and a brand new fiscal biennium. You know, what you should know is this has been a very, very productive year in terms of programs. We continue to look at policy opportunities to influence all people, and the coalition was essentially awarded a consultation grant that Maddie Louder. Oh, Maddie, did I give you a chance to introduce yourself?
I can introduce myself. I was hoping to get off the hook, actually. I'm losing my voice, so. But my name is Maddie Louder. I'm the student assistance professional through the Educational Service District at Monroe High School.
Thank you. Thank you. So Maddie connected me with a grant-funded organization that's offering to review school district substance abuse policies. And our policies are good and reflect the WASDA standards, the guiding agency standards, but there are some elements that are very gray in terms of how we support students who are experimenting with substances, how we connect them to help. And so we're just going to reach out and have this organization over the summer help me put together some polls so I can measure beliefs and attitudes around discipline in this area, and then ultimately create a report for executive cabinet and hopefully the school board that encourages some recommendations. So this is very early. We just made contact with this policy support agency. And so I'll have more details as there are more details, but it's been something that's been on my plate for several years. And so finally have some support around that. So I'm just not, I'm losing my train of thought. So let's move on. So there will be policy review is part of our contract with the state. So, you know, the work that we do as City of Monroe, the work that we do at the school district or other key organizations in the community all contribute towards satisfying the coalition contract. Our awareness campaigns at the Galaxy Theater are live. That's the Under the Influence of You marijuana campaign, and the You Are Not Alone suicide prevention campaign. And depending on how the budget shakes out, we're probably going to be right at zero, but if we have any additional, we'll probably put some funding into moving those campaigns online on Spotify or YouTube or Facebook or somewhere else. We do have youth mental health first aid training coming up. Jennifer Swan is our nationally certified trainer. She's our behavioral health specialist. We'll have 3 sessions planned for some time at the end of May or throughout June. And we're just waiting for Jennifer to open up that space on her calendar. So we're really close. Those will be community-wide events for those who come in. We'll be doing them virtually, so we'll be able to have more participants than normal. about 15 people per session, and we'll open that up and down the valley for those who want to participate. Sharon, sitting across the way, has been leading Sources of Strength, and I'll let her talk about that later, but that is a coalition program that's been fully implemented. Signs of Suicide are one size fits all, or tier 1 or universal strategy, has been delivered to all 6th through 12th graders this year. It's a very successful implementation. Happened a little later than we wanted, but it was a high quality implementation. And there are many folks who are on the call, Lisa, Sharon, and others who helped ensure that this was successful this year. Maddie is running off the charts, implementing our Prevention Plus Wellness program called SPORT. This is another evidence-based practice that's going to be wrap up, will be fully compliant with the state. Life skills training was implemented with all 6th through 8th graders. Again, another coalition program that is completely implemented. Maddie continues to implement Project Success. Elementary schools are implementing Second Step, kindergarten through 5th grade. This started as a coalition implementation, and a number of years ago was adopted by the district. And then PAP's Good Behavior Game at our 3 elementaries. Frank Wagner is the elementary that we're tracking data at, and it's incredible data coming out of that school. The strategy isn't a curriculum. It's a set of principles and tiny little actions that we call kernels that are really changing the game. So when I talked with Principal Molina a month ago, they had found that, you know, behavior had dropped from being widespread to comprising about 4.6% of students, which is exactly where we want to be in this tiered model. And I can share more later. I just am getting tired of talking. But all of this to say that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 coalition programs are being fully implemented. Elementary schools are still piloting a check-in mentoring type program between school counselors and students with higher levels of need called Check and Connect. And that's been a successful implementation this year, just very small scale. Last month, we had Care Solace in here. So Care Solace is the service that we demoed that will open up mental health and substance abuse treatment access to the community. Our tech department has signed off on the data privacy share agreement. So that was the biggest hurdle. And now it's in the superintendent's hands. So we're getting closer on that. And that's a way that we're going to duplicate all of our staff and able to allow them to identify students have need, make a referral, and Care Solace will come in and support a family from referral to actually accessing service, and let us know if there's any reason why they couldn't make their appointments after they're scheduled. So we're doing a lot of work and trying to reduce that wait time from 6 months for community mental health support to 1 or 2 weeks so that it's timely and there. And then I'll come to you with more next month about the mental health access Spanish language documentary that we'll be working on. For those who are part of the subcommittee who volunteered to be, I have a doodle poll out. If you can respond to the doodle poll email I sent, that would be great. We should be able to get everything done in time, but it's another tool that we're developing that I think will help a lot of people. And so it's been a lot. It's been a lot. Like, you guys are doing so much good. And if you're not an old timer on the call, just your presence here helps us to maintain the grant, because we're required to maintain support from at least 8 sectors of support. So 8 different fields in the community to be continuingly eligible for the grant. So that was a lot of words. There was one thing I wanted to show you. So I'm going to share my screen. So longtime coalition member Kathy Jackson wrote to me last week to ask if we would be interested in hosting a showing of Screenagers. there's a third Screenagers film. So we've showed the previous two, and both of those, the first one we showed at the Galaxy Theater, we had like 650 people turn out for that. It was huge. The second one was during the pandemic, and we had about 140 families register for private viewing licenses from their television or computer. And Kathy Jackson has offered to take the lead if we're interested in bringing Screenagers to town before July. And I'm gonna watch the video, that the preview of this with you. And it's the first time I'll be seeing it, so I'd be really appreciative of hearing your opinion. So give me 1 second here. Share sound. Okay, I'm gonna play this. Can you all see the Screenager screen? Will you give me a thumbs up? Yep, okay.
There's no question that our tech revolution has completely shifted our world. Talking with teenagers in my clinic, I've had growing concerns about the impact of media on teens' thoughts and decisions when it comes to substances like nicotine, alcohol, weed, and other drugs.
I started vaping about 1 year ago.
90% of smokers start before the age of 18.
One vape, it's like 20 cigarettes.
Vaping created anxiety that I didn't have before.
You ask the question, when is the right time to drink alcohol? When you're happy, you should drink alcohol. When you're sad, you should drink alcohol. That's the world that kids are living in.
Instagram was terrible for my mental health. I compared myself to others. I started hanging out with a lot of kids who were 18 years old. I'm 15. With alcohol, they're gonna make me cool.
I felt like, a terrible mother because I do this work for a living and I have a child who's running off the rails.
I really wanted that feeling of winning, like the excitement from getting that.
Your grades are falling drastically.
Behaviors like video games, gambling, social media, that natural history is identical to the natural history of addiction to drugs and alcohol.
I'm going to protect you by smashing it with a hammer.
People will literally just post them smoking a joint.
I thought marijuana is legalized as medicine, so I'm just taking it into my own hands.
I was always trying to fix things for Joe.
Cortical thinning in teens who have used cannabis, it has a lot of concern. People have linked cortical thinning to psychiatric disorders like depression.
Drug dealing has gone onto social media apps.
My son thought that he was taking an oxycodone pill, but what he was really taking was a fake pill made of fentanyl and binder.
That's part of a social media protest. The parents say the Snapchat is not doing enough against drug dealers.
I'm trying to promote this message that they don't have to engage in any substance abuse or use to be themselves.
All sorts of parents are afraid of having consequences. She has the right to her negative emotions.
This was my very last vape. I just pulled my phone out. I said, this is day one.
Teens want to be loved by being listened to.
We have to empower kids to make their own best choices.
So I'm wondering if seeing that, you have any thoughts? Is this something we'd be interested in hosting in the community? I'm going to stop talking and just give you the floor. Aubrey, when you see that trailer, do you have any concerns? Does it seem like something we'd want to bring to the community? I see Chief Jolly gave us a thumbs up. Lisa or Sharon, any concerns if we brought a video to open up discussion around these topics?
Concerns? No, I think it's well overdue.
Yeah, well overdue.
I'm right there.
Oh, Aubrey, you can everybody hear us? Nobody can hear.
I can hear.
Oh, you can
Sherry.
hear.
Yeah, I can hear.
Let me text Aubrey. Okay. Okay, what I'll do is, if there's no conversation around this, I'll reach back out to who so graciously offered to help. And let's see if Aubrey can hear us now. Well, we'll keep going. We'll keep going as we work through the tech. Maddie, any concerns or encouragement?
I just had the webpage pulled up, so I was reading a little bit more about it, but I don't have any concerns.
Cool. I'm wondering, so in the past, what we've done is we've reached out to the Galaxy Theater. We've allowed folks to enter for free. It's a no-cost community event. It's a big deal. Everybody loves going to the movies. Hopefully that's still true. I don't know for sure. We've had resource providers in the lobby. We've typically had speakers from the school district and other professionals talking about how families can access services. And generally it serves as an introduction or reintroduction to all of the partners at the table and all of the work that the partners are doing that relate to this. We know what I'm expecting to see next year in our data is significant increases in vaping, although, well, that's what I'm worried about. It's not necessarily what I'm expecting. And we'll see what else trickles out. So we're about a year away from being able to dedicate resources to being specifically responsive to community vulnerability. But the programs that we do have been responsive, really responsive so far. Jim Bloss, I see you.
Yeah, in another hat I wear, I think I could talk our Monroe Arts Council board into making Wagner Performing Arts Center available for this showing, given the theater, it seems reluctant or whatever. I doubt very much that they would be, but if that happens, we have 600 seats at the Wagner Auditorium. So.
Okay, so Jim, I'll reach out to you. That's a great option. You know, typically we do this in March or April when we've done it in the past, and there are no big movie releases out. But blockbusters are starting to fill the theaters, so we have a great second option here. Thanks for that.
We'll need advance notice because we happily are pretty busy. Okay. Lots of folks wanting to use the facility for various and sundry reasons. So yeah, okay. but just let me know and I'll push it through the board.
Thank you. Chief Jolly, I see your camera's off. I'm wondering if you're available to give us an update on what your department's doing and what you're seeing in the community.
Sure, Joe. You know, things are progressing as normal. With the warmer weather, we expect increase in people, activities, traffic, events, and obviously crime and incidents rise with that. It's a huge indicator, the weather being good, and also when it brings people out, it brings us more activity. So nothing out of the ordinary. I think one of the biggest things that we're dealing with as an agency is staffing. Like many police agencies in the region are having difficulty fielding a team, if you will, because of there's been some loss of people in this career field. So we're actively engaging in strong recruiting and have had a lot of success with that. We're actually faring better than most. And the big thing statewide and that would impact schools and youth programs is the legislature's been called back into special session to come up with a law. They've had a couple of years to come up with a fix, but have neglected to do so. So they'll be in special session to try to create an actual drug law that is enforceable. And we're hopeful that we'll be able to have some accountability out there, because the potential in a month and a half or so is that it basically would legalize drug use in the state of Washington. So, and I'm not just talking marijuana, it's all drugs. So that's the big thing. We're hoping the legislature comes through. If not, then it'll definitely be a challenge. So as for the community, things are pretty peaceful and crime is steady and things are good. So no big surges in anything.
Excellent, excellent. Any questions for Chief Jolly, the Blake decision, Mr. Bloss?
I'm sorry, I'm having a moment here. I'll think of it in a second here.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah. Hopefully this isn't too off topic. A long time ago, pre-COVID, a bunch of our youth did some graffiti cleanup. I think we were connected to maybe like Officer Garcia, a female officer. Do you guys still have any need as like just kind of a project of service that like youth could come? Like she had maps and like we just took an evening and scrubbed a bunch of walls.
Yeah, so we from 21 to 22 seen 168% increase in graffiti around the city. That's significant. That's reported. So I'm sure we're not capturing every single one, but it's quite noticeable. We have wanted to have a youth program, outreach program that mentors, helps kids study, does the police cadet thing. Here in the community, we just haven't had financial support for that yet. So with that said, we have a strong interest in gathering youth to help fix some of these issues and be of a service to both the community as well as the young adults themselves, participating in service-oriented projects. We're very much on board on that. How that mechanism is accomplished, I'm not sure. There is a local group that's associated with a local martial arts school that we partnered with to do a one-time cleanup, and that was just within the last month or two. But yeah, I'm very interested in that, Aubrey, and would love to get something going. We just do not have the mechanism funded or approved right now.
Okay. If you ever, just have a name or an email address with somebody I could coordinate with. I mean, I just think we could pull together a bunch of youth who would be willing and able to help.
Yeah, I know a guy, Jeff Jolly, if you can give him a call. Anytime.
Okay.
I'd be happy to talk to you.
All right. All right. Sounds great.
Chief, before I let Jim ask his question, you mentioned an increase in graffiti. Is this just general graffiti? Is it gang tagging? What are you seeing?
So it's general graffiti. Overall, we have seen some small amounts of graffiti that could be attributed to gangs, a small amount that could be attributed to racial bias, prejudice. But mostly it's what you would consider traditional tagging. People that are just putting stuff up on the side of infrastructure.
Okay. Thank you. Jim Bloss, the floor is yours.
I think he's talking, but he's on mute.
Having a tough time today with technology. Given the legislature may not come up with a drug law in time, is Monroe considering perhaps doing what some other municipalities have done, that is, take the initiative in creating their own code?
Yes, we do have a plan B, and we have been working with our stakeholders, the city prosecutor and the city attorney and others here to have in place a municipal ordinance. Of course, I think that's problematic on a new number of levels. And being someone who just kind of leans towards protecting the Constitution, I think it's a little unfair to have one penalty here and a separate penalty 10 miles away and a third different view 5 miles away. So I don't like the inconsistency of having laws that are just sewn together and grouped together, but I would imagine that would probably be better than just open air drug use throughout the city. So we're just hoping that the legislature actually does their mandate.
Yeah,
Does their
appreciate
job.
that. Thank you.
Jim, since you're on, I'm wondering if you'll give us an update about NAMI and Arts Council and what you're involved in.
That's a good move, Joe. I just might forget what I was going to say. Yeah, there's something interesting, I think, for the community is that I was thought of as being a panel member for a panel that at the Everett Herald is putting on relating to access to healthcare, behavioral healthcare in the state of Washington, and probably more specifically to Snohomish County. And that's going to be the panel's going to be taking place the 31st of this month, starting at 6 p.m. at the Snohomish Library, the City of Snohomish Library. So if anybody's interested in that, they got 70 seats or so, I guess, available, and they're expecting a crowd. So if you want to attend that, you need to register.
Hey, Jim, would you send me an email about that?
Yes, there's actually a poster and all of that. You can send it out to our coalition members if you want. It should be interesting. I normally tell it like it is. So there'll be a difference between those folks on the receiving end are trying to get services versus those who are providing services. Most of the other folks there will be providers, and so it should be interesting. I don't plan to rain on anybody. I just plan to tell it like I see it. Yeah, I'll send that.
Thank you. Thank you. Who else has something they'd like to share? Any needs or challenges, opportunities or programs this summer?
I can chime in with a little bit from the ESD. We've got a cohort of about 8 youth mental health first aid trainers. Your training will assuredly be full and assuredly have more people interested. So we've got trainers should be available through the summer as well. So that is a thing I wanted to make you aware of. And we just finished up a large federal grant. We should hear by the end of summer if we're going to have an opportunity to host 10 to 12 more SAPs region-wide. So that would be nice. Trying to think of what else. Those are the 2 biggest things.
What's an SAP?
Oh, a student assistance professional, just like Maddie. Hopefully we'll have, like I said, 10 to 12 more throughout the region, and it may be an opportunity if Monroe is interested in having a second person to serve at the middle school level or beyond. We can figure it out.
We're interested in middle school and beyond.
We all are.
Yeah. Chuck, how are you doing? What's happening in the business community and what's going on the school board?
Well, for the Rotary Club I'm part of, I'm starting to do the planning for the National Night. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, National Night Out. And we've finished our fundraiser. We raise money to give it away to nonprofits. things are going well for the school board. And one thing I wanted to share it's kind of, well, I don't know, I'm just going to tell you, my my father passed away. He was 93. So not have a problem with grief, but I've been involved with, the estates and decisions, and with on the mental health side, it touches each of these areas that, if a student has a parent that passes or grandparent. So I've been having a lot of individual stories with people and family circumstances. So, in our case, it was kind of inevitable with Parkinson's, but I've heard of things turning awry with the final arrangements and the estates, and where people change, and the quiet ones all of a sudden have behaviors that aren't normal. So for me, I'm the the trusted son taking on all the responsibilities, and that translates to individuals and family members that we might deal with at the school, that comes in roundabout through counseling and mental health. I'd just say that's one more challenge that people are dealing with. I got my son over here doing some paperwork. He's just joined the firm, so he's the 4th generation of Whitfield. So that's exciting, and very helpful. He helped me with my video. It's nice to have a young kid come in. It's like if kids have old folks have problems with their technology, I go, do you got grandkids? You got kids? Get them in there and get them to help. One thing you talked about, as I mentioned earlier about fentanyl, I brought that up. Isn't that one of the highest rates of suicide, along with the overdose and suicide? Just roundabouts, ones that age between like 18 and 25. Is that what that is, Joe?
Yeah, it's close to that. I need to get updated numbers, but really opioids in general, more people in Snohomish County have died from an opioid overdose over the last 5 years than from car accidents.
Wow.
And so I'll bring updated numbers to our next meeting and get back to you. But yeah, it's either the leading cause or second leading cause of death of young people. I think suicide is the second leading cause.
Well, you see news articles where somebody's trying to smuggle in like 80,000 oxycodone replicas, but actually laced with fentanyl, and it's such a deadly drug. I went to the Citizens Academy and just looked at how much the little specks that you have can just kill a person. So that's always on my mind, just the threat, just the sheer danger of that to students. And kids are, kids could do things, good kids, just ones that make a mistake. And anyway, so that's been on my mind.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Chuck.
Okay.
Pastor Hanford, good to see you on here.
Yes, it's good to be here. Oh my.
What's happening in your world?
I don't know if this was already mentioned, but tonight at 5 p.m. at St. Vincent de Paul is a special information meeting put on by the city, but led by St. Vincent de Paul. They want to open their parking lot as a safe parking lot for McKinney-Vento folks.
Wow.
And so it's a very, very limited group that could access this. It's lighted. maybe Chief Jolly, you have more information. I want to make sure that it's still at St. Vincent de Paul and it's at 5 o'clock. I know that. Maybe somebody else has more info, but I know there was a lot of concern that, oh, this is just an encampment kind of a thing. No, this is not at all. But I'll let you, Chief Jolly, kind of address that and explain it better than I have. Thank you. And it's good to see everyone.
So I certainly don't, thank you, Pastor. I certainly don't have all the minor details, but it basically is allowing for 4 slots for mothers with children, McKinney-Vento families, to park on one side of St. Vincent de Paul overnight from, I believe it's 7 p.m. till early the next morning. And they have to meet those qualifications. They have to ensure and go through a check to make sure they're not on any kind of registry. And that is really about it. It's 4 families in cars per night. So, and there is a meeting tonight. It's not the city that's putting it on because St. Vincent de Paul is proposing or applying to do this. They have to have a public meeting is what I think the actual technical term is. So I'm not even sure if there'll be city people there.
Right, stand corrected.
So anyway, but yeah, that is at 5.
Tammy, thank you. Tammy posted the link. Aubrey, did you have a question? I thought I saw your hand up, sorry.
It was Jim that has his hand up. Jim Bloss has his hand up.
Yeah, I have a little more information about that. I'm a Vincentian and I'll be at that meeting. It is as the chief describes, and the lead for St. Vincent de Paul for the North Sound region will be there, and we'll open, with comments about how it came about and everything. Also, the supervisor of the office at that point and the lead for that setup is going to be there as well. We expect there will be some NIMBY folks, concerned about what they probably consider to be vagrants or whatever there and controlled and what have you. But I think the police will. I'm not sure who's coming. Is that Ryan or somebody who will be there to say something and let the people know that there will be security, and it's going to be fenced, as I understand it, the area that these folks are going to be in, primarily for their safety. It isn't for the neighborhood. There's nothing to worry about with these folks. All they want is a place to stay safe and secure. Most of them have families. So living in a car, there are a lot of those folks. I think our school members here could give a better idea. I think there's figures of something like 125 kids or have families who are living out of cars who are going to school at the same time. So it's a problem, and that needed to be resolved. The city of Monroe's Human Services Advisory Board, of which I am a member. This was one of our goals and objectives to actually get something like this in place. So it's got support, certainly from the city, I think, and I expect they'll have somebody there as well. So that's about it. Okay.
Thank you. Maddie and Lisa, any updates from Monroe High School?
I think Lisa disappeared to get out of giving any updates, so I can give an update. We're wrapping up the school year. Seniors graduate in a month from yesterday, which is pretty awesome. But a couple of things that I have been wrapping up and are kind of finishing up in the works. So our Project Success Prevention Ed series is actually now built into part of the freshman Bearcat Academy course. So moving forward, that'll just be whatever the SAP does every single year for that course as part of their curriculum. ASB over the course of the last year has been working with Christian Page on building perspectives and shifting the perspective to create more diverse and inclusive communities here at the high school, kind of shifting community norms. And next week, we're actually inviting, we know and are aware that ASB students aren't the only student voice in the school and all encompassing of the student voices. So we're inviting pretty much any student who wants to have a say and share their perspective of their experience at the school to come and sit down and kind of sit around a table together, talk and say, here's the ideal of what we would love Monroe High School to look like. Here's where we are at now. What are ways that we can bridge that gap? So we'll be actually doing that next week and seeing if we can create more positive community norms. Biggest ones that we're seeing challenges with this year is attendance and tardiness, and then school involvement via clubs, extracurriculars, things of that sort. Just more motivation for students to actually be engaged in the classroom, creating those positive community norms rather than turning to substance use. And then sport prevention, Prevention Plus Wellness has been provided to all of the spring and winter sports. So our spring season's wrapping up right now for sports, but those have been given to all of our athletics. And then lastly, what was I going to say? Oh, I'm just wrapping up my caseload this year. I've had great experience with all of my students. There's been a lot of positive growth with a lot of my students. So I'm just wrapping up, collecting final things from all the students that I've been working with as the school year comes to a close.
Thank you. And then Tammy, I see your hand up, and I'm going to hand it to you and Sharon both to let us know what's happening.
Well, I can't tell you what's happening, but Sharon, I'm sure you can. But I just put some stuff in the chat about activities that MEC is sponsoring. So tonight, Bonita Lee is going to be coming. There's some information. It's going to be at the district office at 5:30. And then I just put a link into some summer activities that are happening as well. That's all I know.
She lies. Well, okay, I'll talk then. So Tammy and I together just trained 23 youth at Park Place Middle School in Sources of Strength. About half of them are going into their second year. The rest were all brand new. We also had 4 adults involved in that training. And they came out of there, our trainer this time was phenomenal. And they came out of there so fired up. There's 2 campaigns that we're going to try to do something with and wrap up before the end of the month, so that, I mean, as far as the planning goes, so that they can be implemented before the school's out. And the first is a social media campaign. So we took your advice, Joe, and we're looking at, there's a group of students that are looking at whether we can make a video or something that we can get out there. And they're kind of looking at it as more to the community / parents.
Wow.
Because kids, of course, use different social media than the adults do. And then the other piece they were looking at is a presentation campaign. And all of this is around who are we, what is the big deal, kind of what is sources. So they want to do a presentation kind of piece where we have that huge screen in the lunchroom where they can run presentations just about what sources is, what the pie is, what each of those pieces are, what kind of strengths fall into those. Use a lot of student voice in that presentation to try to get it to every kid before they leave, that they can leave knowing what sources is, what the strengths wheel is. I keep saying pie, but it's a wheel. And then where they can find themselves, identify 1 or 2 places where they know that they're strong. So hopefully it'll go from no awareness to all the awareness. We'll see. That's the plan. No, we're not doing that. We're doing our day jobs of trying to rein in the children. There's been, I don't know, Tammy, you can tell me if I'm feeling this wrong, but I feel like the caliber of need has shifted since spring break. And the needs are bigger and more urgent. Not necessarily different, but they're more time sensitive. And I feel like students are struggling with bigger things right now. And it could be that, you know, we're a month out, month and 6 weeks, whatever, out until summer, and they're starting to, without realizing, project the fears that summer is for some of them. But it's been busy and crazy. And we found out recently that never mind. We had an adult say that we don't do anything because we're not available, but there's definitely a disconnect between what our lives look like and what the staff think our lives look like.
Very good point.
Yeah, and so we're looking at how we can try to bridge some of that disconnect next year as well. So we're looking at a lot of stuff for things we're going to do different next year, but at the same time, it's intense right now.
Yeah.
At the middle school.
Yeah. Any questions about sources of strength or our implementation? This is a suicide prevention strategy that the coalition has supported since 2016, when the Monroe Youth Coalition helped to write the first grant to bring it in. Tammy was founding support for that. And when Sharon got hired, I asked her if she'd ever heard of Sources of Strength, and she said, "Joe, I'm nationally trained." I'm like, what? Yes. So I just get excited hearing you talk about it. And we get to invest in youth right there who are focused on building protective factors and not delivering messages of sadness, shock, or trauma. So it's really good. Chris Gray has been sitting so quietly, but I know she's so busy. She has a lot to say.
Thanks, Joe. I'm with Housing Hope. I have start off with a little bit of bad, negative kind of news. We are still building affordable housing in Snohomish County. Unfortunately, we are building in Edmonds and Linwood. We just opened about 100 units in Marysville. There's basically nothing available in East County for us. And so we're looking for partnerships. We're looking for, land that is, affordable. I'm looking at maybe 5 years out before we have another project here in East County. The other thing that kind of tops that is that HUD, with the United States government, has changed the definition of what towns qualify for HUD funding for our team home building, which is like Habitat for Humanity, where people who can qualify for a low income HUD loan and willing to put in the sweat equity can build their own homes that they would own. Monroe Main Street is one of those projects. Anyway, HUD changed Snohomish and Monroe to no longer qualify for that funding. Wow. So we're no longer rural enough in Monroe. Sultan is, and we are just in the process now of building a project out there. So that one is still, so that, it's kind of a double whammy. Tomorrow's Hope, which is our child development, behavioral health. We are certified behavioral health counseling service. We are in the process of building a new facility, which will double that it'll be in Everett. And I'm on that capital project committee. But we want to open 2 satellite Tomorrow's Hope, one in Monroe Family Village here in Monroe and one in Marysville. And I thought they would be open by now. And these serve a dual purpose. They provide childcare, they provide early learning, they provide behavioral counseling services to children from basically 18 months to 12 years. And I thought that we would be open by now. I've been told the reason that we aren't is because of staffing. We cannot find the staff to facilitate. The other part of that project is it also is a training facility for people who might be wanting to work in childcare. So developing more people who are skilled in the area of childcare with, especially with trauma, kids with trauma and things like that, or behavioral health issues. So I'm still chewing. When are we gonna open? When are we gonna open? But that's what I've been told. It's a staffing issue. They can't find the staff to fill. So I don't know. I was wondering if there's people within the school district who would have that skill that might be wanting some extra work during the summer. Maybe that's someplace we could look at least on a temporary basis. So think about that, staff from the school district, and let me know if you know of anybody.
Any questions for Chris?
I do.
I do.
We see you.
Okay. That's news about HUD no longer considering Monroe rural.
Yeah.
You know, that impacts other than just Housing Hope. I hope.
Oh, I'm sure.
Are you aware of any others in the community other than, I know Friendship House is supported by the Department of Agriculture because Monroe is considered a rural community. That's how come they provide the backfill or support or subsidy or whatever for people living there. I'm wondering, are you aware of how?
I don't know. I can't answer that question, Jim. All I know is that it impacts the HUD funding for affordable housing.
Okay, I'll find out.
Okay, thanks, Jim.
There's been a transition among the feds to reclassify urban and rural classifications. I know US Department of Transportation already completed that transition. Sultan doesn't even count as rural when we try to apply for rural road grants anymore. So things have been changing for a couple of years and it's impacting more and more. I didn't know it had reached HUD.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just one positive, a program, I'm not sure whether the coalition members are aware of it, but Housing Hope and Everett Community College are in a partnership. Everett had an empty dormitory. And so we went into partnership with them. We now manage that dormitory and provide services to the kids that are living there. And it's specifically for graduates of all of the school districts in the county who were McKinney-Vento students. So, and they get free tuition at Everett Community College. So, and that program is going beautifully. And so, yeah, it's a wonderful partnership between the university and Housing Home in terms of those kids. That's cool. That's really cool.
Well, I think we've heard from everybody. Does Aubrey, have we heard from you? What's happening?
We're still trying to, if Tammy, do you know who I could contact at Park Place? We're trying to either partner with already existing service clubs like Key Club, because we're looking at 3 different high schools to jump off and start the Just Serve Club at the high school and possibly the middle school. Tammy, who do you think would be a good contact person for me at Park Place, like an administrator?
Sharon Lineweber. No, I'm kidding.
I'm just kidding.
Probably Tanya Maines. She's the ASB lead.
Okay, I'll ask her. We just want to kind of have that up and running. I guess Glacier Peaks Key Club is pretty involved. I don't know about, is anybody from, nope, the MHS people have left, but I know we have a Key Club at MHS. I don't know how involved they are, but that's kind of something that we're working on. Yes, Jim?
I guess I'm just involved in a lot of things. I'm a Kiwanis Club member, and yes, there is a active key club at Monroe High School, and young lady named Allison in the club is our contact or connect her with a teacher who is the sponsor at the school, so I could direct
Do you remember
or
who the staff sponsor is for the Key Club?
you mean at the school?
Yeah, at MHS. They
Oh.
usually have to, you don't. Okay, that's okay. I'll find out, but we're trying to either.
Audrey, I
Yeah.
put it in the chat. It was Jen Garcia or Jill Van Immortal. Those are our sponsors for Key Club.
Oh, perfect. That would be great. Thank you. And then, so we're just trying to either partner with, we don't want to kind of take a place that's already there, but if we can feed them opportunities and supplies and ideas of something they can do during lunch that benefits the community, that's just kind of something we're working on. And just to let you guys know, I know if you're looking for service opportunities, Miracle League is up and rolling until July 17th. Their coordinator, Ford Lowry, they are pretty full as far as like groups, but they don't have groups big enough on some of those Saturdays. So if you guys know of youth that want to participate, the younger kids are at 9 and 10, 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. on Saturdays. If they want to help, it's a really awesome opportunity to help. I don't know if you guys have ever been out to Miracle League, but it is so awesome. So it's at the Rotary Field. They have games at 9, 10, and noon. Noon is the adults, so it's not a great opportunity maybe for youth because they need probably more experience, just bigger people. But if they wanted to help at those games, we went last Saturday and it was awesome. So yeah, if you guys are looking for
our Kiwanis Club members, we have a number of them who are going to be involved in helping with that. And I'm pretty sure I remember at the last meeting that they mentioned that the Key Club has been contacted. So I don't know how many, but they're aware of it.
Yeah, perfect. That's awesome. I think that's all I've got. We're mainly just working on clubs, trying to get the Just Serve Club up and running and see if there's interest and if that's something that high schools and schools want, especially kind of just during a lunch. Sounds like is kind of the need, like a lunch activity where you could connect and serve. So that's kind of just what we're working on. That's all I got, I think.
Okay, well,
I sent you that flyer, Joe, by email, and if you can separate it from all of the other Gmails that Gmail surrounds my stuff with. I hate
you
that.
got it.
I hate that. It's you got it in case if you can separate it out and you want to put it on the screen, share it on the screen now, you have it. So
let me see if I can do that. And while I'm trying to multitask, which I'm not good at anymore, just wanted to encourage you to turn out for next month's meeting, either in person or hybrid. Give me 1 second. Oh, there we go. I'll send this out to all the members, Jim. It's not going to be perfectly on the screen.
That's all right.
But thank you. Yep, it did come through. So next month we'll be having some conversation. June's exciting. I'll be showing you some more detail about the programs we'll be continuing. I'll come to you with a couple of different decision points as I learn about what the school can and cannot fund, and our priorities for coalition funding your priorities will direct how we use that funding. And then like to talk a little bit about the coalition we want to be heading into next year. There probably will be no July or August meeting. So we'll do some plus Delta 2 and guys, I'm so grateful to see you and the tech work today, and it's awesome. I'm going to return some time to you and just say thank you and enjoy the sun if you can get out in it or have a window.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.